me. I'm with you. Anit, okay. Whoa, thank you, Hashem. We got you. And I have to say it is only 2 minutes late, and I'm just grateful that we are actually here in the car after a second Chalamek today, and very grateful to be here. And I want to just firstly thank our wonderful Chava for joining us again tonight. And if you wanted to do any words of introduction, or if Ms. Fahn does, that would be amazing. And I'm going to hand you over. I'm just checking that we have the handout. Did you get the handout so that we can share?
Yeah.
And otherwise we will do it. Okay, amazing. Well, you'll wait till for Chava. And thank you. And I'm going to just put myself on silent so I can drive back home listening. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we should just share, and it should be a good Chodesh, but I'll be with you following as soon as I get home in 10 minutes. Okay. And thank you very much. I don't know, Ms. Fahn, I didn't actually check if you wanted to say anything about all our holy Nashim Tzadkaniot, or if we're just going to carry on. If you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to unmute and join us and share something. Otherwise, we will carry on with Chava. I can't see on my phone so well, if you would like to.
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is, first of all, is thank you, Joanne, so much, and to Ms. Wulwick. But the thing I learned from one of your colleagues over the night, I listened to Ora Goldberg, and she said that this month should be a month where we're like a fast of Lashon Hara. Like, we shouldn't let anything negative come out of our mouths. And if we do that in this throughout this entire month, we can overturn things. We can get some really great, wonderful blessings. So that's what I would like to reiterate and pass on to everyone here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's very beautiful. And now we will pass you on to Chava.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Just someone put a thumb up. That's great. Okay, I'm just going to make myself smaller because I don't need to see myself, but I do need to. In a minute, I will share. If anybody wants to say something, please unmute yourself. It's absolutely fine. Generally, it's better if people are mute so there's no distracting noise, but please unmute yourself and please feel free to ask anything you want. One second, just turn my phone to airplane mode. Yeah. So first of all, I just want to thank Joanne, she's always doing at least two things at the same time. Tonight, she really has to be in two places at once, but even that, she still manages. So she'll make her journey all the way back. She just came from a challah bake. And please God, the chus of the challah bake and the chus of all the other mitzvahs and the harbatzas Torah that you do, please God, Hashem should continue to bless you and you should carry on being successful. And tonight's share is dedicated by Miss Fine to the matriarchs of her family, Sipporah bas Rina, Rina bas Sarah, Chava bas Dina, Dina bas Tessa, and Tessa bas Sarah. I hope I've got all the names right. With your permission, Miss Fine, I would like to, it's Rosh Chodesh, Chodesh Tov to everybody. It's actually the yahrzeit of my grandfather. His name was Mordechai Markle ben Simcha David. He passed away 61 years ago. And I hope nobody thinks that I'm over 60, but anyway, he passed away before I was born, even before my parents got married. So we are commemorating his yahrzeit tonight, and I'd like to also do this Le'ilun Nishmas, my mum, Imi Marasi, Esther Bas Harav Meir, who passed away in just after Shavuos, and a big refuah shlema to my dad, who's in hospital at the moment. His name is Yosef Ben Devara. As Miss Fine was saying, as Rosh Chodesh, of course, in particular, Kislev is like the month of miracles. So we hope that it will be absolutely amazing if we could see some miracles now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in 1 minute, let me see if I can do this while I'm right. And if anybody wants to write in the chat, Joanne's put, if people are looking at the handout, some people like it. I like, right, hold me. I'm looking to share my screen. So if Neat is on, then she can help me do that. If not, I'll go on without it.
Yeah, all sorted.
It's all sorted, yeah. Well, it wasn't sorted 1 second ago. Let's go. Let's have a look. Yeah, we're all sorted. Let's have a look. Now I have to find the right screen. It's screen 3. Here we go. Let's make screen 3 bigger. Second share. 1 second. Okay, make it bigger. The bigger it is for you, the easier it is to see. Here we go. Okay. So, Rosh Chodesh. This is like strange. What do we know about Rosh Chodesh? So in the times of the Beit HaMikdash, on Rosh Chodesh, an extra sacrifice was offered up. So there was a Musaf sacrifice, which is extra. So we know that, but we also know that Rosh Chodesh was celebrated because there are two Haftarahs that we know. One is read usually on the Shabbos, which is Shabbos when Rosh Chodesh is on a Sunday, which is called, it's colloquially known as Mocha Chodesh, and it's a story of David and Yehonasan. And David says, if you look at source 1 on the sheet, Vayomer David al Yehonasan, Hinei Chodesh Macha v'anochi Yoshov Eshev im HaMelech le'achol. He says to Yonasan, I've got to get out of hiding because tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh, and that's like when we have a big party, because I'm used to sitting with the king. So that's really interesting that we've got that. And just keep that in mind when we ever hear the Haftarah. It's obviously not this week. Then we've got the story of the Isha Shunamis. Don't worry about it. I'm just telling you just places in Tanakh. If you're not familiar with the story, it doesn't matter. Who Elisha comes and she hasn't had a child for many years, and then her child is ill. And then she goes to take the child to Elisha because the child's very, very ill. And her husband says to her, Vayomer Madua, this is in Malachim Beis, Perek Dalet, Kings 2, chapter 4. Madua at holechet elov hayom lo chodesh. Why are you going to see Elisha? It's not Chodesh, it's not Shabbos, it's not Chodesh. Why are you going? Okay, it's really interesting that we can see that it was like an important day, and it was something that was like special in the calendar. It was actually the very first mitzvah given to Bnei Israel as a nation. So there are 3 mitzvahs in the book of Bereshit, but the first mitzvah given to the Jewish people, that the nation that left Egypt, is the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh. And we find that, well, I'm just going to scroll up, it's source 3 on your sheet. I hope you can see it. The Torah says that Moshe is commanding through Hashem to explain to the people about the moon, and he says, HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodoshim. This month shall mark for you the beginning of months. Okay, Rishon hu lachem l'chodshei hashana. It shall be the first month of the years for you. So when it got to Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the year that Bnei Israel were coming out of Egypt, like 2 weeks before they were coming out of Egypt, that is when we got the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh. What's really interesting is the Sepharno, if you look at source 4, he says, Mikad va'elech yiyu hachadashim shelachem la'asos bahem kirtzonchem. From here now into the future, these months are lochem. HaChodesh hazeh lochem. They're for you. Why is that word there? Could have just said this month is the first month of the year. No, it's lochem. La'asos bahem kirtzonchem. You can do whatever you like. You now have the freedom. Aval b'mei hashibud, in the times of when they were slaves in Egypt, lo hayu yumechem shalachem. When the Bnei Israel were enslaved in Egypt, they didn't have the luxury of choosing what they did with their time. Once we had the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh, and once we were out of slavery in Egypt, the Bnei Israel were free. And it's like a whole concept of like, what's time? How do you choose to spend with your time? Rosh Chodesh reminds us that we are given this as a gift. Time is a gift, and we have to think to ourselves, how do we spend our time? What is important? What's really interesting is also about how we measure time. Have you ever thought that, for example, children in school, especially in high school, they live their life according to the academic calendar. So all they do is they spend their life going, when's my next holiday? Or when do we start? And we start, it's this term, it's that term, it's the summer holidays. Their whole life revolves around that. Someone who's an accountant will spend their whole life thinking about when the tax year starts and when the tax year ends and when they need to do tax returns. So it's really interesting, like, what is important to you and how do you focus and how do you measure time? How are you looking at measuring time? Of course, you know, there's people who've got the Jewish New Year, people who want to keep the Gregorian year, etc., etc. What is important to you? So how you spend your time, what you choose to do with your time. Everybody here tonight has made time to come and hear this share, so that's great. It's a great start for this Rosh Chodesh. And if you look at number 5, I'm just keeping an eye on scrolling up, the Mei HaShiloach, who's the Ishbitzer, he writes on this posuk, HaChodesh hazeh lachem, Hainu koach lechadesh. There's some power we have to renew. We have like some amazing power. Koach, we have amazing power. לחדש יהיה לכם שתוכלו לחדש הן בדברי התורה, הן בהנהגה, נותן השם זה הכוח לישראל. Hashem gave us, I don't want to say it's a magical power, we have the energy and the power of every month, the renewal of every month. Hashem has given ourselves an ability for us to renew ourselves with Torah and in our actions. Hashem has given us this energy. And I just think that's just marvelous. But it's a bit of a esoteric idea, but Hashem is giving us Rosh Chodesh. It's like another chance. You've got like an adrenaline boost. What's so interesting is about the moon itself. We follow the new month according to the moon. And Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch tells us in his commentary on the Torah in Shemos, Perek Yud Beis. This is the Perek we're talking about, if you want to look it up. And he says, each time the moon finds the sun again, each time it receives its rays of light afresh, Hashem wants the Jewish people to find Hashem again and to be illuminated like the moon is illuminated by the rays of the sun. He wants us as the Jewish people to be illuminated with fresh rays of Hashem's light. Wherever and however in running their course, they have to pass through periods of darkness and obscurity. Even though the moon's going to wax and wane, we have to say to ourselves, Hashem's given us another chance. And I think it's so interesting. The word Chodesh, month, is the same root as lechadesh, to be like chidush, like a new thing, a new idea, but also lechadesh, something new. The word itself, a month, is new. It's constantly new and renewing. And the moon itself shows us in the phases of the moon, it's tiny, it's dark, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger till it's biggest, and then it goes smaller and smaller and smaller. And same too in our lives. We can go through some times in our life where things are going like on the upward trajectory, and it looks like our moon is shining very bright. But there are also times when things are more difficult, things are more challenging. Sometimes there are times in our life when we can't even see the moon. It's like disappeared altogether. So the sun, on the other hand, that's how we work out the year. And that comes to the word in Hebrew, the word for year is shana, l'shanot, like shnei. Twice we repeat ourselves. And through the course of the year, we hope that we're living our lives like we're repeating ourselves in a circle, but we are hopefully moving up each year at a different level. But the moon teaches us we go up and down, up and down. We have phases in our lives. Easy, more difficult. Easy, easier, more challenging. Less challenging, more challenging. The moon reminds us we cannot get stuck in the repeated pattern of the sun going round the earth. Sorry, so the sun stays still, the earth going around the sun. Sorry about that. Even so, we just have to think to ourselves, we are, as Jews, live our lives with Chodesh, lechadesh. Everything can be new. Instead of shana, leshanot, to repeat ourselves. Obviously, there are some good things about repeating ourselves, keeping the cycle going. Obviously, for women ourselves, our whole bodies work according to the lunar calendar, so to speak. That through the menstrual cycle, we have the ebbs and flows of literally the ebbs and flows of physical ebbs and flows of our lives. Really, really interesting. And the Or Zarua tells us that I'm scrolling up. Why have I got all these lines here? Sorry about that. I don't know how to get rid of it. I hope that's not disturbing your screen. Got some very cool. Can you see blue? Oh, never mind. Okay, don't worry about it. The Or Zarua, he says, Teda lecha shebechol chodesh v'chodesh ha'isha mischadeshes. A woman renews herself. She sheds the lining, and then it goes, and then the lining starts forming over again. V'toveles, and she goes to the mikveh. V'chozeres lebala, v'hi chaviva alav kabayom hachupa, and he is beloved to her. The husband and wife are beloved to each other, like as if it was the day when they got married. Kashem shehalovona mischadeshes b'chol rosh chodesh. The same way as we've got this opportunity, closer, further apart, darker and lighter, ups and downs, the same way, the Rosh Chodesh is very, very closely connected to women. What's really interesting is the tour in Or HaChaim, if anybody wants to look this up. I think it's written 4716, it must be 716. I don't know, 471. I'll have to get back to you on what it is. I didn't write it on the source sheet, I apologize for that. One second, I'm just gonna tells the Torah Or HaChaim says that he hears from his brother, the Ri, that the festive days, the Sholosh Regalim, there are three, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, are connected. They are like correspond to the three of us. We've got Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But according to the Ri, originally the 12 months of the Chodesh, the 12 Rosh Chodesh, or opportunities of the year, were connected the 12 tribes, which is really interesting because you could say in a Shana Mu'aberes, in a leap year, we have 13, which is really interesting because we sort of have 12/13 tribes, because if Yosef split into two tribes, he's got Ephraim and Manasseh. And he says that really Rosh Chodesh corresponds, the 12 Rosh Chodesh opportunities in the year will correspond to the tribes. But somehow, after Chet HaEgel, when the tribes were involved in the Chet, they got taken away, which is really interesting because it's 12, but really it's 13 because the tribe of Levi as well. And they lost this privilege of Rosh Chodesh being connected to the tribes. And the Torah says it was given to women as a commemoration that they did not take part in the sin of Chet HaEgel. This is so interesting. So the Torah says the woman's reward is not, their reward is that they didn't get to lose what's meant to be everyone's monthly observance. It should have been everyone, but it became more pertinent for women to celebrate Rosh Chodesh. Why, and what's this got to do with the Egel HaZahav? So just one second. So in order for that to look into that story, we have to think to ourselves, what's the story of the Egel HaZahav? So what happened was Moshe goes up to Har Sinai and the people are waiting for him to come down and he doesn't come back, and it's just absolutely shocking and terrible and people are all getting nervous. Where's Moshe? Where's Moshe? Where is he? Maybe if he's not coming back, then maybe we're not going to get the commandments and we're not going to get the Torah, and what's going to go on, what's going to go on. The people come and they start gathering towards Aaron and they say to Aaron, Aaron, help us, help us. We need to have some sort of intermediary, because how are we going to reach God if Moshe is not here? Now Aaron thinks to himself, I'll look at the Rashi in a second. I'll just tell you the story. So, okay, Aaron gives them advice and he says to them, I've got an idea, everyone. Why don't you go to your wives and get me their jewelry? Go to them, grab their earrings out their ear and go to them, and then we'll use all the things you've got and we'll start building the golden calf. Now, Aaron was not stupid, and he's not generally blamed, according to the Morashim, for making this Egel HaZahav. But Rashi explains what Aaron was saying to himself. That was source 8. Okay, so Aaron says to the people, Porku es nizme hazahav asher ba'oznei neshechem v'nechem uvenosechem. By the way, at that time, obviously men wore jewelry. So he says, pull out the earrings from your wives' ears. And Rashi says, why did he say that? Why did he encourage the people to do the Egel HaZahav? Rashi tells us, why did he say that? Omar Aaron belibo. Aaron said to himself, I know what you need to do. What you need to do is if you ask the women to give their jewelry, they're going to be like, you must be mad. This is my favorite necklace. I'm not giving it. Get lost and keep it. And that way they wouldn't be able to collect it. It was a delay tactic on Aaron's part. So he said, perhaps this will delay the process. In the meantime, Moshe will get down the mountain. But the men did not wait. They took their jewelry and they took their own gold jewelry and they took it. So you might say to yourself, hold on a minute. How cool is this? The women said they didn't want to give up their necklaces. They obviously loved their favorite jewelry and they didn't want to give it up. So is that how we see women? Is that what they did? They do love their jewelry. I guess most people like their jewelry. But when it came to offering up their jewelry towards the Mishkan, the women came first. And if you look at source 10 on the sheet, which is Lamed Hey, Perek Lamed Hey, where they're collecting money for the donations for the Mishkan, the most successful fundraising cause match campaign, Moshe had to say, stop, stop, stop. Don't think it's happened since then. Well, we're looking forward to a time when we say, stop, we've got enough donations. And the Torah tells us when it came to collecting, Vayovu ha'anoshim al hanoshim. This is very strange language. The men came literally on the women. So hold on a minute. The people came, the men came on the women. What does that mean? Rabbeinu Bachai says, what does that mean? I'm just going to scroll up. Very difficult to understand what it means. He says, what happened was the women were very, very, very eager to donate to the Mishkan. So the women came. It was the lashon was vayavohu ha'anoshim al hanoshim. Because why? Because the women came first. The women were so quick to give up their jewelry. So it wasn't the reason why they didn't want to join in the golden calf was not because they didn't want to give up their jewelry. It was because they didn't want to give up their jewelry for that purpose. When it came to the Mishkan, they were super keen to give up their jewelry. That's why Rabbeinu Bachai tells us when it came to it, Aaron had to tell the men, go to your women folk and try and get their jewelry off them. And it says there, Vayisparku kol ha'om es nizmei hazahav asher ba'oznehem. They took off their own jewelry. V'lo amar ba'oznei neshehem ki lo rotzu hanashim bakach. Because here's where we are. It says, and they did not want to get involved in such a thing. But here's where we are. Aval. Okay, aval ata, now when it came to the time, but inyan ha-mitzvah benadavas ha-mishkan rotzu laseis tachshitei hazahav shalahem b'chefetz gadol. They couldn't wait to give up their jewelry to donate it to the Mishkan. And Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer says, here it is quoted over here, I'm just going to highlight it for you. One second, sorry about that. But Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer says, Nosan Hashem lenoshim sachoram ba'olam hazeh u'ba'olam haba. Hashem gave the women a reward in this world and in the world to come. Lefi shahaya zeh b'rosh chodesh ba'olam hazeh. They got the Rosh Chodesh in this world. Shemishmaros roshei chodeshim yoter min ha'anoshim. Because women, it's much more precious to us, the women, to have Rosh Chodesh. Ba'olam haba shehem asidos lehischadesh kamo roshei chodeshim. And in the future, women are going to have an amazing opportunity to renew themselves like Rosh Chodesh, which I think will be quite fantastic. Because when we get upstairs at 120, we're going to have an opportunity to renew ourselves. So let's hope that works out. So we can see that Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer says the women put themselves out. They couldn't wait to donate their gold and silver jewelry to the Mishkan. And because of this absolutely fantastic dedication to building the Mishkan, they got the present of special status of Rosh Chodesh. And on that day, Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer says, I will show it to you in the Das Kanim in a second, women do not perform chores, which they do during the ordinary days of the week. Now, if anybody would like to make a fridge magnet, I don't know why I've got this blue thing here. I have to find out why this is happening. Okay, I hope you can't see it. The Das Kanim tells us, well, it's number 12. This is Das Kanim on this. Lefichach zochu hanoshim shelo la'asos melacha b'rosh chodesh. Lefi sheb'ma'aseh ha'egel lokchu tachshitehem bal karchan. That when the Bnei Israel were in the desert, the men were happy to give up their jewelry for the Eigal Zahav, and the women did not want to join in anything like this. And the Das Kanim tells us, because of this, we have the unique mitzvah of having a special Rosh Chodesh. It's a special Yom Tov for us. And in fact, the Gemara says, She'ein bo bittul malacha la'am kagon Rosh Chodeshim. That we are not, it's talking, the context of the Gemara is about whether or not we should add extra prayers in. And we say that, don't worry, because we can add extra prayers on Rosh Chodesh, because that's a day when most people don't work. I don't know if that's true and if we have that today, but certainly that's what it seems to be, that people made a special effort not to work on Rosh Chodesh. And Rashi says, She'ein hanoshim osos malacha bahem. Women are not supposed to work. Now I want to tell you that when it comes to things like the 9 days and I can't do washing, I sort of like have conniptions. I like can't bear it that I can't do the washing. So some people find that too stressful. But you know, it's supposed to be, make it really nice. Some people have got a minhag to make sure they sit down and they wash and bench on Rosh Chodesh to make it very, very special. And in fact, Tosfos says, I'm up to 25, well, up to 15. I'm gonna have to work out how to get rid of that. And Tosfos says this is where we are. Aval noshim asuras b'malacha. Women are forbidden to do work. We'll talk about what specific work we're talking about in a minute, because they did not pull off their nose rings at the episode of the Eigal HaZahav. And this is brought down in Halacha, in the Shulchan Aruch Chaim. Rosh Chodesh, Mutar Ba'asi, source 16, Rosh Chodesh, Mutar Ba'asiyas Malacha, V'hanoshim, Shenohagos, Shelo La'asos Bo Malacha, Hu Min Haktov. Those women who accept upon themselves not to work, to do physical work on Rosh Chodesh, that's a very, very appropriate custom. There you go. The problem is tonight, tomorrow, it's Friday, so we've got lots of things to do. So the Panini Halacha, who's a much more contemporary, I think he passed away in 2011. I can't see it, but I think it's on the sheet. He says, when in the temple times, the Kohanim brought the Musaf offering, some men would also refrain from doing work on Rosh Chodesh. But today they don't have to do that anymore because of Egal Hazar. Women, on the other hand, did not sin, and their custom is valid. So he says, so women should refrain from certain work on Rosh Chodesh, for example, knitting, to differentiate between Rosh Chodesh and ordinary days. And then he carries on, he says, my best part is, Ubavadai shelo tach nan la'atzma avodos gedolos barosh Chodesh. Don't start thinking about doing huge chores in Rosh Chodesh. So don't start like defrosting your freezer tomorrow or something like that, or like weeding the garden. That's what it seems to say. Absolutely amazing. So in summary, Rosh Chodesh is a very special time for women. I said it's to do with the bodily cycle, but it's also to do with the fact that we were given Rosh Chodesh as a special mitzvah, probably to do with the cycle of women generally, but also to do with the fact that we did not participate in the Egal HaZahav. Now, I spoke before about the moon and how the moon waxes and wanes, but Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch tells us when Hashem set out to create for himself a nation that would accept and obey his law, the very first institution that Hashem gave us as a nation was not the revelation of the law. We didn't get the Matan Torah didn't come first, but Kiddush HaChodesh, the institution of the rejuvenation and atonement, hope and faith in the future. This thread of rejuvenation, atonement, and constant recreation runs through the entire code of laws of our lives as individuals, as a nation. Every month we have Kiddush HaChodesh, and I love going to shul, like last Shabbos Mevarachin, where we all say, this is when Rosh Chodesh is going to be. We hope this will be bracha, l'chaim, l'mavet, and all these things like that. We hope, and we daven just before we bring in the new month. We say to ourselves, right, this is an opportunity for reflection. It's an opportunity of a new month. It's a new leaf. It's a new opportunity, and we have this every single month. Paganism, this is Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch again, is hopelessly caught up in the iron shackles of the past. Not so Judaism. Borne aloft upon the wings of its liberating and saving God, Judaism knows only how to move forward into the future. It is not to the past, but to the future that our work should be directed. Of course, we have to remember where we came from, and we have to relate back to Har Sinai, and we have to think about the generations that came before us. But Hashem is ready at any time to erase the past. We shouldn't dwell on it in order to open the gates to a new and better future. And I think that a lot of modern psychology tries to help people who are stuck in a rut with traumatic experiences. Try and say to ourselves, like, imagine I failed. I've got to say to myself, yes, I failed. But yes, I can also say to myself, I have to look forward. I have to move forward and think about the positive. I have to learn from my mistake and move forward. I have to say to myself, it's like a new month. I know what I've had behind me, but now I'm going to move forward. I'm going to march forward and not sort of like go back into the past and regress and go over what's happened and go over what's happened. Try and think to yourself, I'm going to move like the moon rejuvenates itself and it moves forward. And I think that just before we say the Shema, we say the bracha of Yotzei Or, and we say Hamachadesh betuvo b'chol yom tomid ma'aseh bereshis. We say it in different forms just before Shema twice. That Hashem, in his goodness, he renews each and every day the creation of the world. And we have to say to ourselves, we wake up in the morning and the first word that comes out of our mouths are, Moda ani lefanecha. We don't say ani first, we say Moda. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me another day and another opportunity to say to myself, what can I do? How can I develop myself? How can I learn from the past and say to myself, I'll move to the future? And at the end of that paragraph, just before we say Shema, the last bracha before Shema, we say, Or Chodesh al Tzion to'eh, v'niske chulonu mehera le'oro. One day, Hashem is going to shine a new bright light on Zion, on Yerushalayim, on Eretz Yisrael. And may we, hopefully, be all privileged to share in that very, very special light when Hashem reveals the ultimate light to us. With ultimate Geula, may the Geula come speedily in our days. And Kislev is a month of Geula. We've got the light and we've got the miracle of Hanukkah, and it's coming. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Chodesh Tov. Thank you again, Miss Fine, for your encouragement and your support, and to Joanne for your encouragement, support, and all your Harbatas Torah. And Hashem should continue to give you the Koach. And hope everybody has Chodesh Tov. If anyone has got any questions, then I will just once again, I will have a look at the chat. How do we create new vessels for the light? Is that what the question was? That's the challenge, isn't it? That's the challenge. That's the challenge. We have to find a way that we have to find a way. That's the challenge. The constant challenge we have is don't get dragged up in the past. Say to yourself, what can I do? How can I learn from the past? And how can I make things better in the future? So Rosh Chodesh is a special time for us. And we should use that opportunity and say to ourselves, right, today is Rosh Chodesh. We're going to have Yale v'Yovo, beautiful words in Yale v'Yovo. We say Hallel, beautiful words in Hallel. And we say, we have don't rely on people. Hashem's going to be Barmechavka. Odecha ki ani soni. Hashem says, Hashem, thank you, Hashem, because you have answered me, and all those min ha'meitzah karasika. Yeah, all those.
So so Hallel would be an example of a vessel created for the light to shine in?
I didn't say that. I thought you were asking, how do we create vessels? I think we have to think to ourselves, what in our lives, what can I say to myself? It's almost like, in inverted commas, like a New Year's resolution. We have a New Year's resolution opportunity every single morning when we get up, because Hashem is Mechadesh B'chol Yom Tuvo Maaseh Bereshis. Every day, it's like a new day. Hashem has created the day and said, Hashem says, you have another day. I've given you another day to live your life. What are you going to do with your life today? That's what I think it is. And I think to myself, then every month we've got another day. And it's like another thing, like, we say Rosh Hashanah, we've got another opportunity to wipe the slate clean. Don't get dragged up in the cycle of the past, saying, yesterday I didn't do that, or yesterday I made this mistake. Don't do that. Say to yourself, right, today's a new day. I'm raring to go. What am I going to do? What am I going to think about? How am I going to help someone? Obviously, we have to have the spare capacity, because what we can't do is give from an empty vessel. We have to be strong ourselves. So if you need rejuvenation yourself and say to yourself, you know what? I need to have a bit of time for myself. That's also okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any other questions or comments?
No, I just think that one of the beautiful things are that every single one of us has a different vessel. So with every different person's potential and whatever they have and gifts that they have are those things that we create our vessels that create that light as well, which is, each person's potential. And
I just think each and every one, I don't want to interrupt you, Joanne, but I think each and every person has unique skills. If I'm an artist, I can bring joy to the world through my artistic capabilities. And you're only going to be answered at the end of time. You're going to be, say, like, someone, Hashem's going to ask me, he's not going to ask me why I wasn't, Rav Moshe Feinstein or Rav Moshe Sternbuch. He's not going to ask me that, because I don't have those skills and talents. But he's going to say to me, why weren't you the best Chava you could be? And you say to yourself, like, I think it was the Netziv who, he was supposed to go to yeshiva, and he didn't really want to go to yeshiva, and his parents said, well, what's he ever going to be? And he thought to himself, he had a dream, I think this is attributed to the Netziv, and in a dream, Hashem said to him, where are the books you were supposed to write? You were supposed to write loads of books. And he was like, oh no, better go to yeshiva and live my potential. We have our potential. If you're good at music, you can go and visit people in an old age home and go and cheer up people's lives with music. If you're influential, get other people to come and join the share. Look at what Joanne does. She's like, I messaged her the other day and she replied at 1:30 in the morning. I mean, you know, I'm not not everybody's got those skills and talents, but Joanne does have those skills and talents, so she uses those skills and talents to juggle and do more than two things at once, always.
As long as it makes it productive and we bring the light in as well, then we're okay. You know, that I think is really where we are. So it's a beautiful thing, and I think that's why I do believe, and Rav Shlomo Volby says that each person with their uniqueness of who they are, and there's only one you ever. There's really only one you ever in the world. There has never been anyone like you, and there never will be anyone like you. And because you're here in the world, you are put here to fulfill your potential. And I think that's the beauty. And I'm looking up there at my Chanukiah that's going to come down, and we've got to start thinking about all the Nissim and everything that are going to come with what we're doing as well, which is, please God, going to be very big this year, very, very big. Anyone else, any questions already? No. And I don't even have another dough in order to to be my fish challah, because I want to be my third one, but my third one's going to be tomorrow. So I will have everybody here in mind. And I've got to go and just bake the doughs from the hafrashas of today. But yeah.
Oh, excuse me, can I just ask one other thing? What about Dina? Why does Dina always get left out? You know, I just don't understand that. I just can't wrap my head around that. Why? Does anybody understand that?
She doesn't get a share in the land of Israel, so that's what it's talking about. According to the Medrash, all the tribes were born with other people, and Dina, I don't think she's left out. Actually, she's got a lot of amazing parts. This one day, Joanne, we'll have to do Dina, right?
I was actually just thinking that in Rebbetzin Gottlieb's book, maybe I'm just looking, I lent it to somebody and I can't see if I got it back yet, but maybe I'm going to have send Ms. Fine tonight. I'm going to take some pictures of the pages of Dina and see all her, you know, the greatness that's there, which isn't always easy. And not everybody has an easy time and has all the things. Some of us have to, you know, some people have been brought in, you know, through a little bit of sometimes a little bit harder. But I'm not going to say because I can't remember everything that I read. And I will plead it a shame. But I think it's a good idea. We'll have to put Dina we'll start putting some of the Nashim Tzadkaniot up on a Thursday night. I think that could be a very good idea. Okay.
Chodesh Tov, everybody, really.
Chodesh Tov should be really a month of light, of goodness, of giving, and of sharing. And we should really all just be zocher to bring goodness and your own personal goodness into the world. And thank you all of you for being here. And yeah, when we are bringing in, and I see when we're bringing in, and when you have the words of Hallel and you live with it, then that's the thing that elevates us as well. Okay, thank you. And really refers, Yeshua's, and all good things really for all of Klal Yisrael. I've been saying a few times today that, as Rabbi Perry says, we're a tiny nation, but a very beautiful big family. And that's what makes us all feel here, is being together as a beautiful family. So thank you, everybody, for being with us. And thank you again, Ms. Fine. And thank you, everybody, and Colette, for all your work late at night. Chava, Colette's learning very quickly, like the best time to get hold of me is going to be late at night, and that's where we get it done. Okay, thank you, everybody, and a beautiful Shabbos. And thank you.
Thank you.
We'll share the recording soon. Lovely to see everybody. Good Shabbos.